All right, everyone. Welcome to my presentation here today. Uh, my name is Izaaz Badshah, and thank you for joining me to learn a little bit about Kahoot. Um, Usually, this is the part where I would introduce myself. We'd talk a little bit about me, but that's pretty boring. What I actually wanted to do is actually have us use Kahoot, and we'll do that now, and I'll kind of do my introduction through that. So if you can either on a phone, your tablet, or the computer, um, go to kahoot.it and then enter this game code that I've got down here. 2430289.
Okay, this first. Do you have it in the chat?
I will actually put something in the chat where you might just be able to click on and it should directly maybe load.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just kind of share the screen there. Okay, so I've got you there and also me,
Okay.
just in case no one showed up. Okay, and we are going to go ahead and start the question. So what's going to happen is a question will pop up and you will pick one of the corresponding answers on your device.
Okay. Let's see.
So the first question is, where do I work? So do I work at BCIT as a nuclear medicine instructor? Do I work at the City of Vancouver as a yoga instructor? VCC as an electrical engineer? Or I don't work at all?
Okay, so
And
all I see is blocks with
yes. So if you look at my screen, those will
yeah.
have the answers there. So if you're
Oh,
picking
okay.
one of them, you would pick the triangle or
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Okay. And yeah, so you got that correct there. You get points for how quickly you end up answering. And then I've just got this little information slide over here. So this is nuclear medicine. This is BCIT where I work. And what you see here is basically a student and the instructor in the foreground. And the background, you've got our what's called gamma camera that scans patients. And we've got a few people kind of working around there. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next question here. This one's a little bit different. It says true or false. So I've got 4 children. So it's actually false. I actually, oh, we got a sport board over here. So I've actually have 2 children. So I've got a boy who's turning 5 next week, and then a daughter who just turned 6 months.
Lovely.
Okay. And then final question. So in my minimal free time, I like to cut the grass, go bird watching, play board games, or go metal detector.
That's a tough one. Let's go with this.
So
Oh.
yeah, you got it right. So board games. So this is not my collection, um, but I used to have something similar to this. I'm down to maybe the first row of shelves. I've had to downsize since we had kids and kind of got out of space there. Okay, so that's the end of the kind of the demonstration of the Kahoot there. We're just going to go ahead and go back to the um, slides here. Okay. Can you see the screen there? Yeah, perfect. So yes, so like we kind of mentioned in the game here, I am an instructor at BCIT in nuclear medicine. This is a job where we inject patients with radioactivity. And so I actually also do that at the hospital. That's where I was earlier today. I'm nearing the end of my PIDP journey. I've only got a couple more classes to go. And while going through this course, I kind of wished I took this course earlier. There's so many neat pieces of software I've seen people kind of using that might have been interesting to kind of try on some of my other projects. I want to reiterate that today is going to be we're going to have a safe learning environment. I want everyone to be able to share freely without feeling judged or ridiculed. And without being said, please tell me a little bit about yourself, Salek.
Thank you. So yeah, you've already got my name. My name is Salek Aslam. Um, I am an instructional designer at BC Hydro, and previously I've been working as a director of workshops for a business consulting company. I still work with them on the weekends, just to review their programs. I'm halfway through my PIDP, so I'll yeah, just little over halfway through.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to kind of do when you're working 7 days a week, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And was this the first chance for you to kind of use Kahoot before, or have you used it different training?
No, I've just heard of it. I've never really used that. Yeah, we were going to use that for one of our trainings, but it didn't really work.
Okay.
So technology, yeah, it decided not to like be on our side.
Yeah, and that happens usually the first time you kind of roll things out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Before we go into a little bit more Kahoot, I've just got a couple other things I want to cover. The first thing is I want to do a land acknowledgement. So the presentation is taking place online, but I'm located here in Surrey. I acknowledge that Surrey is situated on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Katsi, Kwantlen, and Semiahmoo First Nations. I also respectfully acknowledge the many other Indigenous nations that are represented among Surrey's population, and I am proud and thankful to live, work, and play in these lands. And this presentation also, I just want to discuss the Creative Commons license. It allows any user to distribute, remix, adapt this presentation as desired, as long as they give credit to me, the creator. It's going to be used for a non-commercial purpose, and it must be licensed under identical terms, so other people must be able to kind of use whatever you end up developing from this. Okay, so for tonight's agenda, we're going to go over a little bit of an overview, and then we're going to talk about the 4 E's: excite, educate, engage, and evaluate. And then we'll kind of summarize a report card at the very end. I'm just going to reshare this 1 second. I think I forgot to do the sound. Okay, because I thought the best people to give an overview of Kahoot was Kahoot themselves. So I've got a little video here to go. So here we go.
Hi, we're Kahoot. We're on a mission to make learning awesome. Our game-based learning platform is used by millions of people all over the world: teachers, students, company employees, and lifelong learners. Kahoot makes it easy to create fun learning games or trivia quizzes in minutes, anytime, anywhere. We call them Kahoots. It works for any subject, in any language, on any device. You can also discover and play existing games. There are millions of Kahoots in our library. Kahoot can be played in a live setting with questions on a big screen, or on your mobile device where you see questions and answers on one screen. As well as in schools, Kahoot is played in companies, at events, and even parties to make learning awesome. Sign up today at kahoot.com. Let's play!
Okay. And before we get into kind of the four E's. What I just wanted to do is actually kind of show the interface for Kahoot. Um, so this is kind of the screen that you see when you log in. This is what I've got that I created for my demo, but anyone can create a Kahoot. Anything with a star that you see here, it's a premium feature, which I don't pay for, so I end up using the free versions. You can use a template, which has a pre-made Kahoot, where you kind of fill in your various things. You can change your questions that are here. You can change the videos and change answers, but it's a lot of changing. I don't really like that. So what I end up doing actually is creating a Kahoot that is blank. And it allows me to do whatever I'd like. I can change and use one of the free themes, or if you again end up paying for the premium version, like the sports category, you could kind of do something with the sports there. Once you have your question, you can pick your question type. So from the one Kahoot that we played, we had the quiz, the multiple choice, or the true and false. You can see everything else here, slider, pin answer, puzzle. They're all premium features, so we didn't have access to that today. And this was the Kahoot that I made. These were the 6 different slides that we kind of had. I had the question, along with sharing some extra context or some extra information following, which is a really good way to kind of use the Kahoot instead of just asking the questions, getting the answers, and then kind of moving on. Okay. What I am going to do is go back into the presentation here, and what we are going to do is now talk about the 4 E's. So the first one we're going to talk about is excite. And I just wanted to ask you, Salek, what did you think about Kahoot? Do you think it's something that might excite and engage your learners?
Yeah, it really depends what type of learners we're dealing with. But yeah, I guess like, if you're sharing information that is, um, not too complicated, I guess that is a really great way to engage them and excite them.
Oh yeah, and actually, there's a bit of a spoiler. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is the type of questions in the next slide after this one. But yeah, just looking at Kahoot, it's definitely flashy. It kind of captures your attention, brightly colored. Um, in a 2022 study by Lohit Raja and Yu Hassan, they found that 94.4% of respondents of their study, they felt really good about using Kahoot. Their responses indicated that Kahoot uh, was able to enhance their motivation, which is one of the puzzle pieces towards success. And I kind of gave a grade of A for this section, though the caveat was that some students will find this stressful. You notice that after the question, there were points given based on how quickly you ended up getting the answer. And for some people, that just kind of freezes them. Fear of failure or something like that. So that's something to carefully keep in mind, again, depending on your audience. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is educate, and this was something you kind of alluded to. So in a 2021 article, Non and All, they noted that students are able to really improve their conceptual thinking skills, which is part of the cognitive domain. So in this free version, like I pointed out, we just had multiple choice and true false. It's really good at kind of hitting the lower levels of Bloom's taxonomy with remember, understand, maybe a little bit of apply. But the premium version includes so many other different types of questions, sliders, ordering lists, open-ended answers, that you can kind of hit the higher levels. Another article, 2023 by Singh, he discovered that 96% of students mentioned that they were actually inspired to study more so they could beat other teams or classmates, and they were able to retain information for longer. So it seems like it does really help with education, but again, only kind of at the lower levels. So because of that, I would give this maybe a B minus, maybe a C plus. It's really effective at educating in those lower levels. If you were able to purchase and have the subscription to the higher levels, the premium version, I think I would bump it up a little bit more to maybe a B plus. The next thing I want to talk about is engage. And I find that students are really very engaged throughout this. They're having to read the questions, consider the answers, and then select them. And I really thought this was good for inclusivity, trying to engage everyone, just because they use symbols for those who might have been red, green, colorblind. Triangle, circle, um, in Singh's his 2023 research again, the students were actually attending class more frequently due to knowing that they're going to be using Kahoot in class, and they actually ended up paying more attention to the topic than traditional teaching methods. And they also enjoy the collaboration that was brought on during team versus team games. There were some drawbacks, and you kind of mentioned some of this before in our talk, where there was technical difficulties. Some students might not have access to smartphones or laptops, or there's unstable internet, kind of ruining the experience. There are some workarounds to this, such as having students kind of team up. But yeah, it's careful to consider where you are and what the Wi-Fi is like, I guess. And but Engage, I think I would give it a very good mark of A plus. The last category we want to talk about is evaluate. And Kahoot was really good at giving instantaneous feedback. I don't know if you noticed, but as soon as you and I had both picked our answers, they were displayed right afterwards. Student can tell if they were right or not. It would have also told you on your mobile device. Um, and like I had the slides adding more context after, the instructor could pause and state why the correct answer was so, or why the other ones are incorrect. However, there was a study in 2023 done by Cadet where the situation about the scores being higher the faster you selected the answer, it was actually leading to some students quickly picking an answer rather than considering all of them and thinking critically. So it's more of a race to who could click something first. And because of this tendency to kind of devolve into this type of guessing, I give this evaluation section maybe a C plus. It might be good to be used as like a knowledge check throughout the learning, but I don't think I would use it as a quiz grade or anything like that. Um, there are other options that you can do where a score is not given for a question. It's just for the student to kind of check themselves, but that might kind of lead the other way where the students don't really care what they're clicking because it doesn't really matter or account for anything. So again, it all depends kind of on your audience and kind of the mix that you have. Yeah, so here's just kind of a summary of the report card. So it's really good at exciting and educating students as well as keeping them really engaged. But I think the evaluation process could use a lot of work. I know there's some other pieces of software that do other things where if you get it right, you get just 1,000 points. If you get it wrong, you get 0, which might lead students to kind of critically think and evaluate answers. Um, but it doesn't seem like the free version of Kahoot has that anyways. Yeah, here are the kind of the 4 references that I alluded to throughout the different sections. And I just wanted to know if you had any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. That was really well structured and really informative. I just have one question about the evaluate part. Is there an option within Kahoot to like not have the score and just like, have the correct or incorrect. Would that make any difference?
Yeah, so it is possible, and I'll kind of show you where that is in case you're interested.
Absolutely.
So if we go into editing the one I had already made, I click on the question here. We can talk about points. So standard is what we ended up using. So whoever answers quicker gets more points. If you have a question that's worth lots of, like that's more important, you can kind of award a double type points. But here's no points. So if we end up doing this one, there's no points given. It's just kind of right or wrong. And I guess there's no pressure of whoever comes in first. I didn't, yeah, I didn't go all the way to the end of the quiz. If we did, it would have showed like a podium for whoever came first, second, or third. Um, but with you and me, I decided that was pretty.
I'll let you have the first place. But yeah, like it's I guess it just really changes the overall application and limits the applicability with the scoring, as you mentioned, like, there are some limitations, but it could still be a good self-assessment tool, like, just as you noted as well, that, it's just when you finish a section, you could just maybe get students to answer some of the questions related to the concepts and see if they're on the right track. So yeah, that's I would I might just like, bump it up to like B.
B, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that's a totally kind of fair assessment there. Um, ooh. Yeah, any other questions or comments?
No, everything, as I said, was really well laid out and very informative. Um, yeah, I haven't had a chance to like really play with Kahoot. So yeah, it was a good opportunity to be able to actually um, use it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for attending my talk. I'm not really good at talking to myself, and so it's great to have actually some kind of verbal and nonverbal feedback about that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here.
Okay.